Chapter 18. Chaplin's later years and new appreciation. In the last 20 years of his career, Chaplin worked on improving his old films to show them again. He also made sure he owned the rights to them and could decide how they were shown. He believed that even in the modern age, there was still a place for his character, the little man. In 1959, he talked about this when he turned 70 years old. One of the first films he re-released was called The Chaplin Review in 1959. It had new versions of 3 of his older films, A Dog's Life, Shoulder Arms, and The Pilgrim. In America, people began to focus on Chaplin's movies instead of his opinions. The New York Times said that there was no problem if Chaplin came back to America. He was even given an important title by 2 universities in England. They called him a Doctor of Letters. In 1963, a theater in New York showed his movies for a whole year, and people liked them a lot. In 1964, he released a book about his life, called My Autobiography. Many people around the world bought it and read it. But some people said it didn't have enough information about his movies. After his autobiography was published, Chaplin started making a new movie called A Countess from Hong Kong in 1967. This movie was a romantic comedy, and Chaplin had actually written a version of the story for an actress named Paulette Goddard back in the 1930s. The movie was set on a big ship in the ocean. It had Marlon Brando as an American ambassador and Sophia Loren as a stowaway found in his room. This movie was different from the ones Chaplin had made before. It was the first time he used color and a widescreen for filming. Chaplin focused on being the director and only appeared for a short time in the movie. He also made a deal with a company called Universal Pictures and got his assistant, Jerome Epstein, to be the person in charge of the movie. Chaplin got paid $600 for directing the movie, plus some of the money the movie made. The movie came out in January 1967. But people didn't like it much and it didn't make a lot of money. Chaplin felt really sad about this because he cared a lot about his work. Sadly, this movie turned out to be his last one. Chapter 19. Chaplin's Health and Honors. Chaplin faced some health problems in the late 1960s when he had small strokes. These strokes were a sign that his health was getting worse slowly. Even with these difficulties, he started to write a new script for a movie called The Freak. The story was about a girl with wings found in South America. He wanted his daughter, Victoria, to star in it. Sadly, he couldn't make this movie because of his fragile health. In the early 1970s, Chaplin focused on showing his old movies again, like The Kid in the Circus. He was also recognized for his work. In 1971, he was given a special title at a film festival in Cannes. And the next year, he got another special award at a festival in Venice. In 1972, the people who give out awards for movies offered Chaplin a special award. He wasn't sure if he should accept it, but he decided to go to the United States for the first time in 20 years. This visit got a lot of attention from the media. At the awards show, Chaplin got a 12-minute standing ovation, which means people clapped for him while standing up for a really long time. This was the longest standing ovation in the history of the awards. Chaplin was really moved and happy, and he got the award for the amazing impact he had on making movies an important art form in the 20th century. Chapter 20. Chaplin's later years and passing. As the 1970s went on, Chaplin became weaker and his health declined. He had more strokes that made it hard for him to talk and move around. He needed a wheelchair to get around, and he wasn't feeling well. Even though his health was not great, Chaplin still worked on some projects. He put together a book of pictures and memories called My Life in Pictures in 1974. He also worked on the music for a re-release of a movie called A Woman of Paris in 1976. There was a documentary made about his life in 1975, called The Gentleman Tramp. In 1975, Chaplin got a special honor from Queen Elizabeth II. He was made a knight, which is a special title. But he was too weak to kneel and accept it like usual, so he got it while sitting in his wheelchair. Chaplin's health got worse, and he needed help all the time. On Christmas Day in 1977, he died at home after having a stroke while sleeping. He was 88 years old. His funeral was simple and private, just like he wanted. He was buried in a cemetery in Coursier-sur-Vevey. People from the movie industry remembered him and how important he was. Director René Clair called him a cinema monument, and actor Bob Hope said they were lucky to live in Chaplin's time. Chaplin left a lot of money, over $100 million, for his wife when he passed away. In March 1978, some people dug up Chaplin's coffin from his grave and tried to get money from his wife by keeping it hostage. The police caught them, and the coffin was found buried in a field. It was put back in the cemetery in a strong concrete box.